دوستای عزیز، سلام خدمت همه شما. امیدوار هستم جور صحتمند باشین. بازم به خدمت شما عزیزا هستم. البته یونت دوم شما بخش داستان از کتاب پنجم. فراموش نکنین یونت دوم بخش داستان و کتاب پنجم شما. البته کتاب 4000 Essential English Word است و همچنان First Edition. خب میریم به طرف کلاس خود. عزیزایم پیش از اینکه کلاس آغاز کنیم لطف کنین چینل با دوستایتان شیر کنین.
The Helpful Abbey.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. The Helpful Abbey. کلیسای مفید.
It had not rained on the prairie for several months.
It had not rained on the prairie for several months. یعنی چند ماه بود که روی دشت ها باران نباریده بود.
Because of the drought, the climate had become very arid.
Because of the drought, the climate had become very arid. خب به خاطر یا به دلیل خشکسالی آب و هوا بسیار خشک شده بود.
There was no moisture left in the soil.
There was no moisture left in the soil. و همچنان هیچ رطوبت در خاک باقی نمانده بود.
No crops could grow in the dry ground.
No crops could grow in the dry ground. هیچ محصول رشد نمیکرد در روی زمین.
By winter time, the people had nothing to eat.
By winter time, the people had nothing to eat. و در فصل زمستان مردم هیچ چیزی برای خوردن نداشتند.
The hungry families heard about an abbey near the mountains, where food and water was still abundant.
The hungry families heard about an abbey near the mountains where food and water was still abundant. خب خانواده های گرسنه درباره امو کلیسایی که در نزدیک کوه بود شنیدند که در اوجه آب و غذا هنوزم فراوان است.
So they traveled inland.
اونا به داخل مرکز یا به داخل شهر حرکت کردن، سفر کردن.
Across the prairie to the abbey.
Across the prairie to the abbey. و اونا از امو چمنزارها یا دشتها عبور کردن و به طرف امو کلیسا رفتن.
At first, only a few families arrived.
در ابتدا فقط یک چند خانواده وارد شدند.
Seeking food and shelter.
اونا در جستجوی غذا و پناهگاه بودند.
Then there was ample food.
و اوجه غذا یعنی به صورت کافی وجود داشت.
The monks fed them and let them sleep in the small cathedral. خب امی راهبا اونا را غذا داد و اونا را اجازه داد که در داخل امو کلیسای بزرگ اونا بخوابند. At first only a few families arrived seeking food and shelter. Then there was ample food. The monks fed them and let them sleep in the small cathedral. Soon, however, more families were arriving every day.
خب بسیار زود به زودی ها خانواده‌های بیشتری هر روز از راه اوجه می رسیدن.
These people had to travel farther.
و این یعنی مردم مجبور بودن که راه های بسیار دورتر باید سفر می کردن.
So they were in worse condition.
بخاطر که اونا با یک شرایط خراب یا یک وضعیت خراب قرار داشتن.
The rugged journey had made their clothes ragged.
و خب امی سفر ناهموار لباسهایشون را پاره کرده بود.
They were
cold and tired. خسته و همشون سرد بودن.
The tiny cathedral was soon full.
خب و بسیار یعنی بزودی امو کلیسای کوچک پر شد. Food became scarce. خب غذا ایجا کمبود شد.
The monks began to grumble. The monks began to grumble و راهبان شروع به شکایت کردند.
They began to speculate that there would be no food.
They began to speculate that there would be no food. خب اونا یعنی حدس و گمان کردند که هیچ غذای وجود نخواهد داشت.
If more families come, we won't make it through the winter.
we won't make it through the winter. اینا پیش خود میگه اگر خانواده‌ای بیشتر بیایه زمستان را پشت سر نمیگذرانیم، یعنی از زمستان خوب تیر نمیشه.
A young monk
said a young monk. امیر راهب جوان گفت
we must ask some of them to leave.
We must ask some of them to leave. ما باید از بعضشان یعنی بخوایم که اونا باید ترک کنن. Food became scarce. The monk began to grumble. They began to speculate that there would be no food. If more families come, we won't make it through the winter, said a young monk. We must ask some of them to leave.
The abbot heard this.
The abbot heard this. خب امو حبه یا امو کسی که بزرگتر بود یه گپشانه شنید.
We cannot do that.
We cannot do that. He said گفت که ما این کار کردن نمیتونیم.
He said it would be wrong to deprive them of food and shelter.
It would be wrong to deprive them of food and shelter. یعنی ما این کار کردن نمیتونیم به خاطر که محروم کردن آنها از غذا و سرپناه یک کار اشتباه است.
We took an oath to help those that need help.
We took an oath to help those that need help. یعنی ما سوگند یاد کرده بودیم که به کسایی که به کمک نیاز دارن کمک میکنیم.
All here are in need.
All here are need. یعنی تمام کسایی که جا هستن همشون نیازمند هستن.
So all are eligible to receive our food and shelter.
So all are eligible to receive our food and shelter. یعنی همه از اونا واجد شرایط دریافت کردن یا به دست آوردن غذا و سرپناه هستن. The abbot heard this. We cannot do that, he said. It would be wrong to deprive them of food and shelter. We took an oath to help those that need help. All here are need, so all are eligible to receive our food and shelter.
But we won't have enough.
But we won't have enough, the monk asked. خب راهب گفت که اما ما به اندازه کافی نخواهیم داشت.
The monk said, that might be true, but we must help them be true.
That might be true. خب میگه که این درست است، ممکن است، درست است.
Must help them nonetheless.
But we must help them nonetheless. اما میگه باید به آنها کمک کنیم.
We will fast, the abbot replied.
We will fast, the abbot replied. میگه که ما روزه میگیریم. جواب میده.
Also, we will give our rooms in the abbey to those sleeping outside.
Also, we will give our rooms in the abbey to those sleeping outside. میگه همچنان ما اتاقای خود به کسایی که بیرون از کلیسا میخوابند به اونا میتیم.
And we will sleep in the churchyard that adjoins the
cathedral. میگه ما خود ما در کجا در حیات کلیسایی که نزدیک به کلیسا هست به اونجا ما میخوابیم.
The monks were reluctant at first, but
The monks were reluctant at first. خب در ابتدا اما یک کمی یعنی تمایل نداشت، یعنی علاقه نداشت.
They did what the oldest monk said.
But they did what the oldest monk said. اما اونا کار میکردن که بزرگترشان برشان میگفت.
By the end of the winter, there was still enough food and shelter for everyone.
By the end of winter, there was still enough food and shelter for everyone. امی که یعنی تا پایان زمستان هنوزم غذا و سرپناه کافی برای همه وجود داشت.
They learned that sometimes helping others means you must give more help than you first expected.
They learned that sometimes helping other means you must give more help than you first expected. اینا یاد گرفتن که گاهی اوقات کمک کردن به دیگران به این معناست که شما باید بیشتر از آن چی که در ابتدا یعنی انتظار داشتید کمک کنید. The monks were reluctant at first, but they did what the oldest monk said. By the end of winter, there was still enough food and shelter for everyone. They learned that sometimes helping others means you must give more help than you first expected. خب هزمی بود درس امروز شما خدمت شما تقدیم کردم، البته از کتاب پنجم و یونت دوم شما بخش داستان. امیدوار هستم که درس مورد علاقه شما قرار گرفته باشه. تا درس بعدی را شما را به خداوند یکتا میسپارم. روز همه شما خوش، خداوند یار و مددگارتان.